Right. Hello. Sorry, obviously, if I look a bit dishevelled, but as you know, I'm not totally well at the moment. But I've certainly been feeling a lot better over the last couple of days. The issue's been a day that didn't sleep very well last night, so I had to keep getting up to sort of cough up phlegm during the night. But at least it's coming up. But that meant I didn't sleep very well. So sort of I was running on fumes most of today, so I had a bit of a nap earlier, and then I've only really just recently got up from that. So I was waiting for the coffee to kick in that I drank recently before I started the stream. So I'll probably just stream for 30 minutes, so till 8 p.m. UK time, let's say. Yeah, I'm mostly getting better, at least it seems. But hello to everybody that's joining. At the moment, I'm sort of, like I said, I've got quite a tight sort of nasty chest thing at the moment where I'm coughing up phlegm. I'm needing to use my inhalers a lot more than normal, but other than that, I seem all right. Like COVID tests, I'm still coming up negative on constantly, so... Right, Rich, right, AK-47, right, Aces Gamer. But yeah, so, but like I said, at the moment, at least I don't seem to be getting more ill. I do seem to be feeling better with each day. My appetite's coming back more and more. And I think if last night I had actually a good night's sleep, when I went to bed, if I fell asleep and stayed asleep, I'd probably be feeling quite energetic today. Because yesterday I managed to, wake up at like 7 or 8 a.m. and then went to bed like 11 p.m. or whatever. So I managed a full day without having to have a nap or whatever. But yeah, obviously we'll touch wood, cross our fingers that I don't, get ill again all of a sudden with whatever it is. But apparently a lot of people at the moment are picking up, like if they've had COVID or whatever else, your immune system's apparently quite weak for a bit afterwards. So it's at this, because it's like the flu season, sort of cold season of the year anyway, sort of January and February. Like, the winter months are always bad for it. That's obviously the worst time if you've just had COVID to keep recapturing stuff. So if anybody didn't see yesterday, although it did get quite a lot of views, I did the video on that Polish PM63 rack machine pistol, but annoyingly I can't show that on a live stream, even though it's a deactivated gun. I only had one bad comment on that video, actually, as in one I had to block the person for, where it was like somebody insulting me and insulting the gun. Like, why would you buy that? Like, it's a complete shit gun, blah, 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 And it's, and it's like, wow, you don't even have to particularly think the gun is a good gun to buy a deactivated gun. Like, the thing was, like I said, I bought it because I think the design looks cool, and it was really cheap for a UK deac. Whereas, with the deactivated market here, obviously you can't shoot any of them because they're deactivated. So I would much rather pay 200 quid for a really weird looking gun than several £1,000s for what would be a very practical rifle normally, but obviously it won't work because it's deactivated. But I don't think the PM63 is absolute trash. From what I've said, it's got some weird design decisions. I think something like the VZ61 Scorpion would probably do all the jobs the rack does, but much better. But it was made domestically in Poland in the 50s. Came out in the early 60s, and for what it was, it's quite cool. But obviously, there's much better choices you could have picked for all the guns to fit in its category. But yeah, there should be another gas mask video coming soon. Very trash gaming trash. It's just whenever it's delivered. At the moment, I got an email saying the one I've ordered, is delayed for delivery because of they've run out of stock in their warehouse. Is he just doing that AK because he's so unpopular at the moment? He's doing that to try and get some popularity back. All right, Steve. I'm mostly all right at the moment. Today I'm a bit more tired and sort of that than yesterday, but that's just because last night I had one of those nights where I kept waking up during the night to cough up phlegm and clear my lungs out. I'm not allowed to say on here, David, unfortunately, because of the fact YouTube has a policy against that now. But what I will say is if you look at any of the major UK deactivated gun sellers, I'd say it's in one of the top 3 of those. You will be able to find it within 5 minutes of Googling if you have a look. And you're looking at about the £200 to £300 price range for it. In some of them you do Flazzy, some of them you don't. It's your own discretion, really. I think what they're doing at the moment is it's going to be the up to each individual shop once the government says you don't have to do it anymore. So I think Sainsbury's said, for example, they want people to wear masks, but Morrison said you don't have to. Oh, that's really cool, Steve. Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while. I did send him a message at Christmas saying Merry Christmas, but I didn't get a reply. But that's nice. Tell him thank you very much. What do you mean by CT10? Do you mean a CT12? But you're quite unlikely to find a CT12 just because they made a lot less of them than FM12, so just get an FM12. All right, Snoz? Like, if you found what the price of a CT12 is normally compared to the price of FM12, it's not worth the massive price. Just the funny thing is, when I got my CT12, I got it for like £30 because it was one of those ones on eBay, you know, where at the time I was just lucky because barely anybody bid on it. Yeah, Rich, I think it's basically exactly that. It's like the thing is the PM63. Like I said, I find it interesting just because it was, you know, a domestically made Polish gun. Yeah, the sad thing is, AK, a deactivated MP40 is like $3 to $4 grand for a deactivated gun, and they're the sort of prices I'd never pay for a deac. Especially when you can get, you know, like the one-to-one like airsoft or sometimes air rifle replicas of some of those guns for like £300. All right, Steve. Well, that sounds great. So I'll be waiting in anticipation for that. But yeah, so for the people who didn't know, because it was on the member stream, somebody on the member stream, sorry for whoever it is when they watch back, so I can't remember who it was about looking back at the stream, recommended me a mask where it's actually got both a filter on the exhale valve as well as the inhale valves. So, you know, it's one of those masks that's designed so if you're breathing in a public space, it protects both you and other people, which is quite cool because I've barely seen any masks that do that. But I think moving on from Corona, that's probably going to become a more popular design. You know, the idea that you can have a mask that both protects the wearer and other people, but not in a way of like a cheap cloth mask, actually being a proper, you know, like FFP3 style mask, you know, just a valve set up with filters each way. I own quite a few swords. I assume you can't actually see any in the background at the moment, but for example, just down here, just trying to do it without knocking loads of stuff over. There's the cutlass. I quite like, even though it's a fairly cheap sort of cutlass, it's a fairly well made one. Like, out of all the swords I've got, the falchion's my favourite one because that was the one I had custom done. But in terms of like all of like just mass produced, when I say mass produced, I don't mean like made in the factory, but you know, like the companies that do like loads of sort of the same hand forged swords. This sort of US cutlass is probably my favourite one of all those, just because I think it's quite a good, like, you know, weight, size, and everything else. But yeah, I do own swords, to answer your question now. All right, let me go back to the chat. All right, Mike, and all right, Dan. Yeah, I'm feeling quite a bit better today. I'm a bit tired today, but that's just literally as in, like, I felt absolutely fine yesterday, and today it was just mostly a problem of I kept waking up during the night to cough up phlegm, because I've still got, like, at the moment, I'm still quite achy, sort of in the chest. Yeah, I've done some videos on some of it, Dan. Funnily enough, I use webbing a lot for walking the dogs. Not at this time of year, but during the summer when it was really hot and sweaty, when you had like a jacket on, I used the British Army. No, I think it was the Dutch one I actually used, but it's like the same. It's kind of like based on the British Army 90s sort of woodland one. So it was like a webbing system, but not actually on armor. It was designed to be, you know, like one that you could wear on top of armor, like, you know, it's elasticated to go around it. So it meant if you're wearing it in the summer, you can literally just wear it on top of a t-shirt or whatever, and it's really lightweight and cool. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it, Rich? Just like it's the easy way of doing it is just having a big oily rag, but yeah. I'm sure you can, Snoz, but again, it really depends on, you know, the circumstances you're in, doesn't it? Because at the moment, it's like there's lots of things I want to buy, and then I remember my car MOT and service. Although, thankfully, because my car's going to be like 4 years old when this MOT service is due, it's not going to really have anything too expensive needs doing it. But then again, I'm going like, no, I can't, you know, I can't use my money on a deactivated gun, for example, this month because, you know, the MOT might be £400, for example. So, you know, that's like a real life thing that has to come first. Yeah, sorry, man. Yeah, so that's at the moment where I probably feel the worst is just this sort of area is quite tender because that's where I've been bringing up sort of where they did the X-ray and they found a bit of clouding in the lungs. That's obviously what that was, all the sort of phlegmy shit that's coming up now. But hopefully that means my lungs are clearing out. Ah, that's good, Justin. So yeah, so you can actually use 40mm filters on it now, like it's a regular mask. But then I'd make the laws worse for everybody else, Dan. I can't do that. That'd be against my principles. Because with all these things like that, that's the thing, isn't it? That there's so many things you could do, but then it would make the laws worse for everybody else. Yeah, that's the thing, Fuzzy. Like, mine might need some tyres replacing. There's like none of them are too low, but the thing is, if there's any of them that are getting to the point where within a few months they might need doing, I'll just have them done now for convenience sake. That's great, Snoz. But yeah, it's weird stuff like that, isn't it? But I had this sort of that issue when I used to have the Golf, where sometimes I could have an MOT done on it and it would pass really easily on the MOT and be cheap. But then you know, between the MOTs, you get a main part that would fail. And like I said, at one point, the Golf cost me like £1,000 to keep it on the road that year, just because it was like, you know, a main bit in the engine went essentially. And that when those sort of problems were coming about, that was when, you know, I got into the thing of I'll pay to have this fixed and then I'll sell the car, you know, so I at least, you know, make roughly the money on service back, you know, or getting the car roadworthy back. And then that was when I was like on purpose went looking for a new car, because that was the problem with the Golf. It was sort of by the end of it, because it was almost a 20-odd year car by the time I sold it. It was like, you know, every sort of 3 to 6 months you get a major sort of part fail that ends up costing you quite a bit of money. And that's just the problem when cars get too old. Even if they're really well built to begin with, all the parts of the car are going to have a limited amount of life. And if, you know, and it's bloody good that a car from like, what, 1998 to it was year 2000, my Golf, wasn't it? The GTI had, so yeah. So a year 2000 GTI to reach something like it was 2018 I sold it, yes, so it was 18 years old, but to reach that sort of time, you know, where only then were some of the major parts starting to fail, where, you know, most people don't keep cars beyond 5 years before they trade them in and get a new one. That was bloody impressive, actually. Shows you sort of, you know, how well built VWs were back then. I'm not so much of a fan of modern VWs, but that's saying a lot of cars now that they're so over-engineered for what they are. I quite like simple-ish cars. Yeah, Philip, it's a shame. I have got an order coming in from Pepper's shop, so I will have quite a nice knife to show in that box that I've got. But yeah, because that was a thing recently. I did spend, you know, because they're closing down on a knife sale and they've got loads of other stuff on sale as well. I did spend about £100 on Prepper's shop the other day, just getting a variety of things that, you know, like some camo bits, you know, that I didn't own, like some American camo uniform bits, and you know, quite a nice knife. Sadly, I haven't got my ROC post yet, Welsh 32, so no, I'm not ready for World War III. But I hope this Crimea thing doesn't go on too long. Not Crimea, you know, the Ukraine thing. Obviously, both because of the Ukrainian Russian people, I don't want them to be in, like, you know, a state of worrying about war, but also because I don't want it to inflate the price of ROC posts permanently. Don't know much about that Mech's history, but we try not to go too much into politics on this channel. I don't know how you'd send them me, Hank. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Sounds like you're saying that some cars can become a money pit after a while. Whereas, yeah, if it's something that you're good at, like repairing lots of bits on yourself, and then now and again, you know, you might have to take it into a garage to have more serious stuff done. It's a much more economical way of doing it. Right. You sometimes just have to Google, Dan, but there's unique property for sale and unique property bulletin are two ones that are quite good, as in they're like two sites that generally quite often list, you know, like weird unusual things, and ROC posts on both of those seem to be like one of their main things that they always seem to try and find. There's one ROC post at the moment, I don't actually know if it's for sale or not, because it was one that was definitely for sale at one point and sold, and now it's popped back up on some of the sites. I'm not sure if they've accidentally just relisted an old listing for it, or if it's like a case of, you know, it's gone back up for sale because the person who then bought it sold it, or, you know, like the sale fell through or whatever. But it's still out of my budget at the moment, even with me saving. But it's one I'll keep an eye on, because this is one that, you know, I won't say too much on here, because obviously in case somebody else decides to buy it, not that I've actually had the money laying around for it, but, you know, it's one of those ones where for the land amount it's got and like the condition it's in, for what they want is a very reasonable price, but it's still, you know, like what I'm saying, like a realistic price sort of thing. Because with the sort of 14 grand I've got saved up for one so far, that would definitely get you on with a bit of land in certain parts of the country, you know, especially if it's one where you needed to do restoration work on it. And this is one that, you know, is in an all right part of the country for property value, like not, you know, super cheap, not super expensive. But it's mostly because it's in such good condition that, you know, it's like one that somebody was partially through restoring, I think, before they decided to just put up for sale. Yeah, Dan, one of them did have an update. That's why I was thinking. But yeah, that's the thing. But you sometimes can just find them on Google, because annoyingly, the BBC will always do an article every time an ROC post pops up for sale that always makes more people look at it and want to bid on them. That sounds interesting, Rich. But yeah, so yeah, Rex, I'm quite tired today, but that's like I was saying to loads of other people. There's still got some Christmas decorations there. Look, they need to go up in the attic. But I suppose that's because when we took all the decorations down, that was it. But what was saying? Yeah, the only problem was like the only reason I'm sort of feeling tired and a bit more ill today. Well, not really more ill today. It's just that during the night I was using cough medicine and, you know, like bringing up a lot of phlegm, which felt, you know, really good bringing it up and not having it stuck inside you. But the problem is, obviously, if that keeps waking you up during the night, it means you don't get a good night's sleep, and then obviously you don't feel refreshed in the morning. So because I've obviously been doing stuff today, it was only a couple of hours ago I had a nap, you know, and then had a nap for a couple of hours, which refreshed me a bit. But then, you know, it was only just after when I got up from the nap, had a coffee, then I came on here. That, you know, so I'm gonna have an early night tonight anyway, because I want to ideally be volunteering again tomorrow, because last week I couldn't do it because I was ill. And it annoys me with stuff like that, you know, where I want to be doing stuff like that, and then quite often you just end up being ill on the days you're going to do it. I suppose that's kind of good though, if you've got two M40s, because the hood is a lot less valuable, isn't it, than the mask, unless it's one of the rarer hoods for it. Oh, it's egg shaped. I certainly will Russian Penguin, but if depending on when I get to 100k, the video I want to do as the special video for it might not be able to be filmed, you know, exactly on the week I hit 100k, because it's when I don't want to actually film until I'm properly at 100k, because it would financially cost me to do this video, but I think it'd be quite interesting. But so what I want to do is wait till I get to 100k safely, you know, where I'm a bit over 100k, so it's not going to be like I could have a few people unsubscribe, or YouTube does their yearly subscriber audit thing, you know, and knocks you down 1,000 subs, and I'll get the video filmed. By the end of next month for certain, Philip, I'd say at this point. Yep, Snorz, that gets brought up every time, and I said it's actually more expensive normally to do it that way, and I actually want an ROC post specifically because of the history of them. It's also the planning permission problem as well if you do it the other way around. But yeah, Philip, end of next month by definite. So end of February, I can't see by the end of February not being at 100k by then. It could be a lot sooner than that, but it's one of those things where some days I might get like +5 subscribers. Another day I might get like +100 subscribers. It's really weird with YouTube. You know, it really depends how much they recommend your videos to people on a day. Yeah, it'd be brilliant, Dan. Like I said, I've done a video at an ROC post before, but that was just an abandoned, like, derelict one I found, you know, driving about 30, 40 minutes drive from my house. And again, it's like, you know, that's one that isn't for sale. And, you know, if you go down there, it'd be full of heroin needles, you know, and like shit and piss. It's not a very appealing one. It'd be one that, you know, if I could buy it for a reasonable amount of money, I'd be willing to clean it up. But, you know, not for, I didn't really want to go down there on a video just because it was one where, I'm sort of, you know, filming myself trespassing by being on the land it's on, because I didn't have permission to be on there, but I thought it doesn't really hurt because I'm not trampling over anything, to just quickly jump the fence and go up to where it was. And it's obviously because it's completely vandalised. Didn't sort of hurt me to have a quick look at it, but the problem is how the hatch has been vandalised. It's like a big rusty bit of metal that's like right next to the ladder, so you'd have to try and squeeze past the hatch, that's sticking up like it when you pull the like the lid off of a can. It's a bit like that, so it'd be very easy to cut yourself with like a rusty hatch, trying to climb down there. But there's another ROC post, I think, that might be within a 30-mile drive from my house, like 30-minute drive from my house. It's one I couldn't find much info on the line. Like some people said at one point it was there, but the hatch was welded down. And then other people said, like, the hatch has now been ripped open. It's been completely, like, vandalised and set on fire on the inside. I haven't actually been down there to have a look, but if it's one where I can park up easily and just, with a flashlight climb down the ladder with a mate, I'll probably do a video on that. But... yeah, Dan, saying about trees vandalised. Well, not vandalised, but there's actually a massive fucking tree near about 5 minutes drive from my house that's come down. And luckily it didn't come down the road, because if that came down on the road, it would have probably killed quite a few people. But, like a massive oak tree sort of thing, where you can see where it's come down. You can see all the roots, and, it looks like the size of somebody's house, or like the roots in the earth sticking up. And it's literally next to a road. It's just it fell that way, rather than onto the road. So, that was lucky. But again, it's a shame, because that's a massive, obviously, probably a few hundred-year-old tree, considering how big it is. Restore it and then live in it, Russian Penguin, because in the UK, house prices are so fucking stupid. Was she all right, at least, Dan, and the dog's all right? But yeah, that's not good. Near where my granddad lived, a load of people's cars got smashed because a road sign came down on some heavy winds, where the council obviously hadn't restored it well enough for ages. And then the wind hit it at the right angle to make the road sign be like, almost like a sail. And it tipped over, and smashed a load of cars. But saying that, the people's cars that were smashed were not meant to be parking there anyway, and it was like, people that kept annoying the residents because they were parking in a place they shouldn't be parking, blocking access to people's drives, sort of thing. So not much sympathy for them, but luckily nobody was in the cars at the time. But, it's more the fact that the council hadn't been, managing the sign. And if that had come at a slightly different angle down, that could have gone into the dual carriageway, and killed a load of people. Yeah, you'd hope you get insured for that, wouldn't you, Dan? But sometimes they could probably say that's an act of God or whatever, where they won't insure it. Oh, something that was really stupid I heard on the news today. So something's not stupid. There was a load of people in Japan that, because they've got thyroid cancer in the last couple of years, are suing the company that, ran the Fukushima plant. But the company, I don't know if it was like the electric companies, like the fence for trying not to do the payment, or it was just some other group, was saying there is no link between radiation and thyroid cancer. It's like, do they not know what iodine-131 is? It's like there is a definite fucking link between certain radioactive isotopes and thyroid cancer. Oh, yeah, I think that must have disappeared, Caven. But yeah, it's a good, it's good, isn't it, for what it is, especially because they're like under £300 for an SMG like that. I mean, I know it's deactivated, but still, if you look up how much Sterling's cost, which are basically built in the exact same way, just with the side mag port rather than the bottom mag port. Now it's Pedro. It's normally YouTube just deletes loads of comments. Like they delete them at their end, but they still appear on your end, like you post them. It's like a shadow banning type thing. What's sold out now, and I didn't get one, but would have been good for anybody that did buy one, because I watched the Forgotten Weapons video on it, was a Czech submachine gun. Like a Czechoslovakian post-war submachine gun. Like one from the early 50s. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But it's, there's a Forgotten Weapons video on it, and it's got the weird thing where it's actually got a thing so you can put a clip, and I mean an actual clip, on the side of the gun, so you can then do that with a magazine to load the magazine off the side of the gun, which is quite cool. It's like one of those weird features. Right. The only one I can recommend, and again, it depends on when you say thermal, I assume you mean like the proper actual heat-seeing thermals. The only one I can recommend is that one I've done a video on, like not the FLIR one, but the Chinese one. I can't remember the exact. Right, people just making weird comments. I'm going to start blocking because again, no time for you. But I can't remember the name of it on the top of my head, but it's like the Ifran one, whatever it's called. It's the one that fits in this little case. So yeah, so it's an X infrared or whatever the company's called, and it's the one that looks like that in the case, and then you just plug it into your phone either with a cable or just plugging it straight into your phone. Yeah, that's the one, Fuzzy. They do a load of different models, and compared to the FLIR ones, they do things like the same spec as FLIR, just a lot cheaper because it's like a Chinese brand. And although their software isn't the best on the phone's end, the actual quality of the thermal camera is very good. That's not too bad though, is it, Dan? Was it a full set? Was it like all the webbing and like loads and loads of pouches for it? I don't actually know its proper name, Pedro, at least not without looking it up. I have whatever the section is called for obsolete calibers. So I've got a Martini Henry, a Schmidt Rubin, and a Mannlicher M1886. And they're obsolete calibers because basically you need to register them as a Section 1 if you're actively shooting them with ammunition, but you can own them on their own without any of the other gun laws applied to them because they're an obsolete caliber. As in, it's hard to find the ammo for them, therefore they're not classified as a firearm by law unless you've actually, loading it up with ammo. Some Section 58 sounds about right, yeah. Again, with a lot of these things, I just know them as obsolete calibers because it's easier than knowing, isn't it? Like section, whatever, blah, 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 paragraph, whatever. Right. There's not that many different Soviet Geiger counters. If you want the famous ones, you're just going to get a DP5, basically. The DP5 is the only sort of Soviet one where when you think Geiger counter will be the one you want, as in, it clicks. So, yeah, look up Soviet DP5 series, and you'll probably want the most recent one with the green case. Is that the DP5V, isn't it? The green case one? It's the one where there's that broken Polish one in the background. I've got some working Polish DP66 and DP75 as well. The DP5 is like the Soviet original thing, the Polish one sort of copied from. It's a bit smaller and more compact. If you're on about the actual light amplification one, I never owned that in the first place, as I said on the video. I've got a PNV57A, which doesn't amplify light. Well, it actually does a little bit, which is quite impressive, but it's technically a Gen 0. But the E I never owned, I was just lent it. I've got one of the testing devices, and they're really hard to use if you mean the retro ones, because it's like setting up a weird old pump system. That's why the modern ones are the digital systems, they work more like a blood pressure machine, are a much more good idea. And I've got a repair kit. It's there. You can just about see it. That's my repair kit there. And I've used that before to do some custom modified parts for like masks, like to make custom blanking plugs in it. Well, bear in mind I'm not in the US, so I don't know what masks you've currently got on like good prices in the US, but if you can get good surplus masks for under $100, then that's good. When I say good surplus ones, I mean like US service ones. Yeah, Oliver, did you see my video on Monday or whenever it was, Monday or Tuesday? It depends if it's actually from the zone or not, because if it's not from the zone, it's just that type of pattern, and then it's not going to be radioactive. I have a very soft spot for the FAL. I don't know if it's my favourite firearm ever, but I really like the FAL. Dan, right, other than being ill like last weekend and then being in the hospital, no, not really this week. I've just been taking it easy. I've managed to do dog walking all of this week, but just doing very short walks, and the person was completely okay with that because they said take the week off if I want. I've just been doing, very short dog walks. So the dog's at least got some time outside. But other than that, and what you've seen on YouTube, no, not much, because obviously I've not been feeling great. Yeah, Oliver, although, again, the hospital, when I saw the doctors, they don't know if that's actually the COVID or if it's just because COVID's weakened my immune system and then I'm just catching regular, flus and chest infections. But the point is you don't want to catch COVID in the first place, because even if you catch it and you've been vaccinated, it's still going to, cause your body a load of issues. Even if you get over it quite quickly, it can still, knock your immune system back a bit, and then lead to you being much more easily infected. I mean, personally, I prefer binoculars because you actually get the 3D effect of binoculars, but it's up to you if you like binoculars or binoculars. Anyway, like I said, I'll be finished now because I'm running over, because I said I wouldn't be able to stay on very long today because I'm quite tired and I need to get some stuff done after the stream. And Invincible Hero, you're basically saying what gas mask is suitable to actually work as a gas mask. Any decent one. Right, that will do me for this stream. If you have questions like that, I'd just recommend watching my normal videos where, there's big, long videos explaining things rather than me trying to give you a 5-second answer on the stream. Right, see everybody. Hope you have a good evening. Right, see everybody. Bye.